General Garland, the Department of Justice should enforce the law regardless of politics. I do not believe that has been what is happening the last 2 years. Among other things, I believe you very much want to indict Donald J. Trump. Toward that end, the Department of Justice has leaked that DOJ is investigating and intends to indict Hunter Biden. The purpose of those leaks, I believe, was to set the predicate for an indictment of Trump.
This is Ted Cruz going in on Merrick Garland head again. 2024, revenge after Trump. And what Ted Cruz is saying is you want to indict Trump, you know what I'm saying? Ted Cruz stuns Garland with 2024 revenge after Trump's witch hunt. You know what I mean? So let's get into it without further ado.
To say, look how even-handed we are. We're indicting a Biden, we're indicting a Trump. Those leaks are not law or enforcing the law, they are politics. Did you know about the leaks about the Hunter Biden investigation?
I don't know about the leak that you're talking about.
Lying.
I'm not. Leaks are in violation of our regulations and our requirements. So the answer is...
The leaks are consistently on one side of the aisle advancing one political agenda. As you know, the FBI raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. And subsequent to that raid, there have been multiple leaks about what was discovered there, including a photograph of documents that were discovered there. Did you know about the leaks from that raid?
The photograph was a filing in court in response to a motion filed by Mr. Trump. It was not a leak.
So you're testifying there haven't been leaks about the Trump raid investigation?
I'm responding to the point about the...
Do you know about the leaks that have occurred concerning
I've read
Trump?
the leaks. They are inappropriate. We also don't know where they come from. Witnesses on the...
But what's interesting is when the shoe was on the other foot, I believe your intention, and I believe it's a political intention to indict President Trump, became infinitely harder when classified documents were discovered repeatedly at President Biden's multiple residences. According to the public record, those were first discovered on November 2nd, 6 days before the prior election. Department of Justice was notified on November 4th, and yet miraculously there was no leak about the classified documents at President Biden's home when it politically benefited the effort to go after and charge Donald Trump. DOJ leaked. When it potentially harmed the Democrat president, DOJ did not leak. Does that strike you as at all a double standard?
Leaks under all circumstances are inappropriate, and they are not directed by anyone in the Justice Department.
Let me say in particular on Hunter Biden, I very much hope that an investigation of Hunter Biden is focused not just on his own personal substance abuse issues, but on connections to his father and potential corruption. That is the matter of public concern and why people are concerned. And it was striking that the leak that came out from DOJ suggested this is just going after some poor person struggling with drugs instead of looking at the very real evidence of corruption. Will you commit that the investigation will actually examine the public corruption aspect and not simply scapegoat Hunter Biden as an individual?
I can't comment about the investigation other than to say that all the matters involving Mr. Hunter Biden are the purview of the U.S. Attorney in Delaware. It's not restricted in his investigation in any way.
Well, you don't comment here, but then you leak at the same time.
Senator Hawley.
We're jumping around right now. We're going to take a look at this one. I think it's very interesting and people need to look at. We cannot keep playing around with these people. Let's just be honest. We cannot keep playing around with these people. And this one is coming in.
Now, House Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee are demanding Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis
answer questions over her, quote, politically motivated prosecution. All right, here to react is former House Judiciary Committee Senior Counsel Julian Epstein. Julian, great to see you. Legally, when you saw the mugshot, everyone had a different emotion, but legally, as the president gets set to find out when he's eventually going to get into court with 18 others, is this a strong case? Is this a case you would have brought if you were Miss Willis? Listen to what he says.
I don't think it is a particularly strong case. And good morning, Brian. I don't think it's a particularly strong case. I think, look, I did not vote for Donald Trump, and I was very critical of the January 6th activities and the riot and the raid on the Capitol. I still think that if you are going to bring a case against the former president, it has got to be a compelling case, not just to 12 jurors, but to the country as a whole. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that this does that. I think there are a number of questions. The first question I have is that I have not heard a good answer to is how did it take the local prosecutors, and I'm saying this as a Democrat, how did it take the local prosecutors 3.5 years, nearly 4 years to bring this case? Yeah. Why have they not answered the question about Fani Willis's?
It's taken them 3 years, but they want it done in less than one. Interesting, huh? Quite interesting.
Conflict of interest. She held a fundraiser for the...
Reminds you of COVID-19 and how fast they came up with the solution.
The opponent of one of the targets of this investigation. We haven't heard any answer to that question. Third, generally when a state and a federal government take on a very similar, almost identical case, and this is very similar to the case that was being brought by the Justice Department on the January 6th matter, right, the state would have to have a rather distinct and articulable interest, a separate interest. What is the strong interest the state has here that is not being served by the federal prosecution? So I have real questions about sort of the Democrats say they are just sort of playing it by the books. They're just looking for accountability. That's fine, but I think the Democratic elites and the left elites in both the legal and the political world have got to answer some of these questions. I think beyond that, there are problems with this case, the way it's structured as a RICO case, 19 defendants, 41 counts, hundreds of overt acts. Some of the overt acts that are included are things like tweets and press releases and public statements by President Trump declaring his victory. The things that are all protected by the First Amendment. And I think the case is going to be, as you and I talked about this last week, Brian, I think the central arguments of this case are going to be questionable. I mean, the case really rests on two essential arguments. First, that when President Trump said to Rossenberger, find me 11,780 votes, when he said that, was he asking Rossenberger to falsify the votes? And I think that is the presumption of what the prosecution.
And he will say no.
Of the prosecution. Right. He would say no. And I think him simply saying, find me 11,780 votes, right, I think that is a matter of interpretation, but I don't know that that's necessarily evidence that he's looking to falsify the votes. I think the other question is, sorry to be long-winded on this, I think the other question is, especially this issue about false this issue about this false slate of electors. This essentially relied on a legal theory of some of the president's attorneys on the reading of the 12th Amendment, that the vice president has a sole discretion to turn down certain electors from certain states. I think that's a bizarre and extreme theory. Right. A couple of very conservative attorneys hold it. I don't know that holding that theory or acting on it is necessarily criminal. So Julie, I think there's all kinds of problems in this case.
Yeah, no, obviously. And we've talked about that. Julian, we booked you because you were senior counsel on House Judiciary back in the day. Chief counsel for the Democrats. Thank you very much. Makes that a much better business card. Now it sounds like the House Republicans, under the direction of Jim Jordan, they're going after Fani Willis, and they're trying to figure out whether or not she collaborated with the Biden administration. We saw this with Alvin Bragg. He opens the case against Trump here in New York City. Then the Republicans went after him, had a field hearing and stuff like that. What do you make of the Republicans going after the local DA?
And this is all coming from a Democrat. He said it himself. I didn't vote for Trump. As a matter of fact, I think he said I would never vote for Trump. Maybe he didn't say that part. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But I know he said I didn't vote for Trump. Clearly a Democrat, obviously a Democrat, admitted a Democrat, and even he is saying there's basically no case here. There's basically nothing here, and there's lots of questions that need to be answered. Lots of questions. So I'm happy to one hear that, obviously, but two also to hear that Republicans are going back after him. But I also have another clip I want to check out with you guys from one of Trump's lawyers and what was said. Let's dive into it.
Joining us now, former President Trump's legal spokeswoman. Now,
This is again giving him another thumbs up. This is my man Doc Rich. You know what I'm saying? Coming in hard and off the card with his daily reports, and he's dropping that fire and holy desire. You know what I'm saying? Holy desire. You know what I'm saying?
spokeswoman. Alina Hoppers, there. Good to see you, Alina. Oxford's legal analyst Greg Jarrett. A little look happy in that mugshot, I'll say that. And who would be happy? This is now the fourth time that this has happened. This is unprecedented. We've never had a former president ever indicted. We never had a chief political rival of the opposition party ever, treated like this before. You look at the case. Let's analyze it from a legal standpoint.
Sure. Let's go, Rich. How about a very clean, simple English sentence? When you have the president whose sole responsibility is to take care of America, the Constitution, election interference, and make sure that we are the America that I used to know, not the America you and I know now. And he is then prosecuted because he's leading so significantly, frankly, in the polls that he doesn't even need to go on a debate. This is the crisis that we're in as American people. There is no case. Unfortunately, we have library books, Sean. We have bookkeeping because they didn't like the category on the QuickBooks tab that he put on a legal expense. And then we have this, which is him doing his job as the president of the United States, frankly, something we haven't seen for several years since Biden's been in the administration.
Yeah.
And they're going to try and put him in prison because they can't beat him.
Let's talk about, and by the way, how do you get 4 trials in?
I agree with that statement.
And during a primary season,
Me
during
too.
an election season, it would be an impossibility from my standpoint.
Right.
Now, in the case of this RICO case, the obligation to prove intent is critical,
Right.
on all of these charges. In other words, that the defendant acted with the intention of committing a crime or a fraud. I would bet every penny I had that if you gave Donald Trump a lie detector test and you asked him whether he believed everything that he was saying, the answer would be 1,000% yes. And yet we have historically, we've had other slates of electors brought forward. How did this happen, and how do you prove intent, Greg Jarrett?
Well, I don't think you can in this particular case. Proving a criminal state of mind means that the district attorney has to prove that Donald Trump was aware that what he was doing was unlawful. Everything we know about his conduct leading up to the certification of electors is that he thought he was availing himself properly of the legal process. And Exhibit A, and this is the most exculpatory for the president, is his conversation with the Secretary of State in Georgia, in which he is complaining about ballot irregularities, faulty machines, valid votes that aren't being counted, invalid votes that are being counted, election laws that are being violated, petitions that are being ignored, and in the end, he is demanding a recount and a review, which, by the way, Brad Raffensperger has a duty to do. So he's asking him, do your duty. Fannie Willis has misrepresented and lied in an earlier filing about what Donald Trump said, claiming he said, you need to find 11,780 votes. That's not what he said. Read the transcript or listen to the
It
conversation.
is a long transcript.
Right. He
And
is
in that
saying-
transcript, at times he's talking about there are hundreds of thousands of votes that you guys got wrong.
He is saying, I need to find that many votes because that is my vote deficit. Well, every losing candidate says that, which is why they ask for reviews, recalculations, and recounts. It's perfectly lawful. It is not criminal intent.
All right, Alina, let me ask you this.
In the case in Washington, they want to start the trial on January 2nd. Interesting. In Georgia, they want to start on March 4th. Okay, that's on Monday. On Tuesday, the next day, that would be called Super Tuesday, one of the most important primary days for anybody that is running for president. Is there any possible way you foresee that he can run a presidential race, be tried on have four separate trials, and successfully compete, or did they just take his time away as a candidate? And he's good luck to him, and who cares?
Well, that's exactly right. And quite honestly, Sean, that's not even the full picture. We have Letitia James. Let's not forget her. She's about as thick a ticket as Jack Smith and the rest of them.
She ran on a platform to get one man, Donald Trump, one organization, the Trump organization, one family, the Trump family.
Right, that's right. So you have DAs and AGs who are now able to come out and say, I want to get Donald Trump and elect me on
All
that cause,
black,
and I'm going
all
to do
black
it. Then
people,
they do it.
black
so we have
people.
October,
You know what I'm
Letitia
saying?
James.
Black.
We have
So we're going to look at,
January,
this is another one here. Now check this out. This kind of shocked me right here. And Doc Rich dropped that fire and put it out. So I'm going to let it flow as it go. You know what I'm saying? But Doc Rich be on that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Back at it again, and we've got a very interesting
Give him another thumbs up
video
on this one.
today. I've got a few different clips that I'm going to be combining together into one video, so stick around. It's quite the doozy. You are definitely going to want to watch this one. You're not going to want to miss it. But before we hop into it, hit that like button. All right, really helps out the YouTube algorithm to get these videos out to more and more folks. All right, as you guys have noticed, at least all of my shorts, I know for a fact my shorts, there's something weird going on with my YouTube shorts. And a lot of you have noticed it. Like when you click on my YouTube short to watch it, it says that nobody has commented. It says I have 0 comments on my YouTube shorts every time I upload one. But when you click on the actual comments, there's all types of comments in there. Like people have actually gone in there and commented. So make sure you guys are hitting that like button and sharing these videos. It's the arrow button down below. Also, if you would like to support my channel, all right, go to DocRichClothing.com and go and cop some of that merch. All types of things on that website, okay? Go and take a look. And with that being said, let's dive in.
Interesting to see the black communities in Chicago and New York screaming bloody murder now because these illegal immigrants are coming into your towns, being sent into your towns to take over your shelters for your homeless, take your jobs, everything. And now you're thought, I've been warning you folks, you black folks in the inner cities for years. The white liberal politician is your enemy.
Facts.
Malcolm X said it in '65 in a speech. The white liberal is the black man's enemy.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox. And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling.
My guy in the last clip wasn't lying. Malcolm X actually said it. And this wasn't the only time he said it. Share this with your Democrat friends. I think more folks need to see this because until I embarked on this journey of figuring out the truth, I had no clue that Malcolm X had ever said anything like this. I had no clue.
That's why they censored.
Zero idea. Including the YouTube short that I dropped yesterday.
Doc Rich, you got to understand, that's why they censored Malcolm and many of our civil rights black leaders and didn't educate them, even put them in the schools, you know what I'm saying? But then they didn't. And many black people weren't interested in that because their mind frame was already being convinced, probably like him, to not look at it in that way politically, you know what I'm saying? But to look at it based on what he grew up with and know and so forth and his acknowledgement, and that led to probably him being a Republican after a certain time, but may have even had a democratical groove before he was a Republican. You know what I'm saying? I was never any a part of any political party, but at the same time, I came up in the same way, in the same mind frame that he did. I didn't know a lot of things until we, looked at what Malcolm was saying. He is right. As I give Doc Rich a thumbs up on that one, and he's dropping that fire. So without further ado, let's go back in here and dip and grip on this situation.
Actually, MLK said basically the same thing.
Yep.
MLK basically said, I think I have made a mistake and I am integrating black people into a burning house. And he was talking about the Democrat Party.
Boom bow.
Mm-hmm. Go and check out my YouTube short.
Boom bow.
So not only do you have Malcolm X saying,
And this,
these Democrats saying it's not it.
And the last clip Doc Rich just played was a white man. That wasn't a black man talking. That was a white man talking. And letting your dumb black asses know that you running down the road right into hell along with these demon craft at the end, and then after Democrats you get demon craft. You know what I'm saying? You running down the road with these beasts, you know what I'm saying, straight to hell. And not only that, you're convincing your people, you know what I'm saying, by them using black people to lead the way. Letitia James, Fannie Wills, and Alan did not case brag. They called out the three fucking idiots. You know what I'm saying? And then they throw a white boy in there, Jack the Nut Gut Smith. You know what I'm saying? But who's leading, who let it off? You saw all of it going after Trump. You know what I'm saying? It was all Letitia James, all these black people who was trying to convince black people that the demon Democrats and the liberals have their best interests on side. No, they haven't. The liberals are, like the white boy just said, is your worst fucking enemy. And that's a demon Democrat. And you continuing down the road, now he about to stick you with another one.
You also had Martin Luther King Jr. saying the same thing.
Yep, Martin Luther King said the same thing.
Let that one sink in. Share this video, guys. Arrow button down below. All right, copy the link, text it to all of your Democrat friends. Everyone needs to have this information, needs to see that clip and hear it for themselves. Not from you, not from anybody else.
Right.
They need to hear that themselves.
Right,
okay?
right. Exactly.
Let's continue on.
It's the black man's enemy. He's a fox. He's a sneaky. He says that he's gonna.
This is the white man talking. This is a white boy. Since everybody wanted to jump on, me and everybody else talking this is a white man actually dropping that fire, telling you to your face. You know what I'm saying? And we don't need to get involved. Let the white boy speak for himself and let him tell you himself. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these demon Democrats, these black people, they will go up against the white liberals and the white people who've been there many years before them and try to discredit, with their liberality on the Republicans to make Republican people feel like, they ain't nothing. The demon Democrats is it. Y'all criminals. We the most holiest. We are top up there in floating in heaven, and we can do no wrong. And even when we did wrong, we're so white and pure that we can just get away with just killing everybody on planet, raping, sucking, blood, vampirism, everything that you could possibly think of, even LGBTQ, don't forget the grease and the syrup. But, we still can't do no wrong, and black people are going right along with it because we see what's going on with many of these rappers and movie stars as well.
I help you for his own personal agenda, and here is another fucking example of that. But yet you'll keep voting for these white fucking liberal politicians that don't give a fuck about you. Hopefully, this wakes you up.
Hey, listen, I had to bleep out the cursing, okay? But y'all get the message. He's not lying. If you haven't heard about the story of the Chicago residents being angry that the migrants are coming in, check out this next clip. Here you go.
Uh-huh.
How you can go from this?
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? How would you go from this? Come on with that bullshit. Why you ain't a piece of shit? I know how you do that, but we don't need that. No time for all of that. We gotta get to the point, and we got to get to the point. You know what I'm saying? So because you know what I'm saying, the migrant issue is put there to upset the black community and offset the black community because we know full well that even before that, when I used to be out there, you had some migrant guys that came over here and shit, and you know what I'm saying, they basically, um, they basically would say things like this because I was driving cabs. You know, I come through many years of my life working hard, digging ditches, doing all that migrant shit, cutting grass, working for golf courses. You know what I'm saying, all that. I come past all that. So now I was at a point where I was choosing an easier job for my age limit because you know what I'm saying, my back was thrown out for moving furniture, all types of stuff. So I was driving cabs. So when the Spanish guys got in the cab one day, you know what I'm saying, they was like, yeah, we come here, we work harder, we do this, we do that, you know what I'm saying? And then he looked at me and said, you got an easy job, your guys is easy, that's not hard work, you driving a cab. I said, yeah, but before you came here, I was busting my ass on my back. So was black people. You know what I'm saying? Even through slavery and all that shit, was they enslaved like we was enslaved? No, they weren't. You know what I'm saying? They probably wasn't, but weren't. So how you know what struggles we've been through to come over here and say that we lazy? You're looking at a hard man with gray beards on his face, and what we've been through. You see how people come? They come over here with this mind frame that everybody over here is a lazy American. Everybody over here never worked. You can't say that about black people. Black people built this country and built the fucking country you living in right now. You know what I'm saying? Talking about some Mayan and Incan pyramids and all that shit that you stole from Egyptians and Africans who built that shit long before you going back even to the Olmec Empire, you know what I'm saying, and past you, you know what I'm saying? So we see a lot of this going on, you know what I'm saying, in more ways than one, where you coming over here prejudging people, you know what I'm saying, by just the cover of the book. You know what I'm saying? You better start thinking more better than that when it comes to black people. But this is the Biden administration attack on black people to me in more ways than one. The white boy just told you. Malcolm told you. Martin Luther King told you. All of them told y'all. And you still went down the same road.